Way Out Recovery Hour. I am Bob Sharits, and it's another Monday. We are brought to you by the Way Out Intensive Outpatient Program, drug and alcohol treatment program for adolescents, adults, and their families. We are located on the corner of Plum Canyon and Bouquet Canyon in Santa Clarita, and our phone number is 296-4444. Please check out our awesome website at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. Visit us on Facebook at The Way Out Recovery SCV. And again, welcome to another edition of the Way Out Recovery Hour. It seems to be something that really comes up over the holidays. Well, first of all, happy Monday. I come in here every Monday, and I like to remind everybody that although Mondays can be a little heavy for people, they don't have to be. Sometimes we look at the week in front of us and go, oh my God, I got so much to do. But I want to offer you the opportunity to look at this beautiful week that's sitting in front of us and think of all the opportunities that we have to help other people, to really get into the holiday spirit, to meet and greet each other, and to really just be grateful for all the blessings that we have in our lives, just to take another perspective. Holiday season can be very, very difficult for some people. Our primary population is drug and alcohol sufferers, people who suffer with addiction, their families, and the holidays can be really triggering. And on top of, that right there, holidays for some people, because of loss in their life, can be an extremely difficult time. It seems that every year around the holiday season, we start talking about this topic because we really want to be helpful to those that are out there that maybe have experienced a loss or are going through a grieving process and are triggered by all the holiday stuff that goes on. And so we want to offer some shows on the way out to really offer some tools and some support and help anybody who may be grieving. On the show with us today, we have the organization Campassionate Friends. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, I get the honor of really sitting in this studio with some of the most awesome people that I've ever met, and I'd say some of the bravest people that I've ever met. When somebody experiences a loss, it seems to me that a lot of times all they want to do is just kind of shut down and not talk about it, and it's really, really difficult to come out in the open and talk about loss. And so I want to really, really say thank you to you guys for the bravery that today that you're displaying, but also, to be so open about what you've experienced in your life and the losses in your life. I say that as an introduction to who's in studio today, because all three of these beautiful ladies who are in studio with me today have experienced loss of children. Campassionate Friends is an organization that is a support group specifically around people who have lost children. It's not just a grief support group, but it is specific to the loss of children. So we have in studio with us today Alice Reynolds. Hi, Alice.
Hi, Bob.
We have Diane Briones. Hi.
Hello.
And we have Melissa Flowers. Hi.
Hi.
So I want to welcome you guys to the show, and we'll just see where it goes. I think today what we're going to do is we're going to certainly talk about Campassionate Friends, the big event that you have coming up this weekend. We want to talk about that. What it's like for you guys to have experienced the losses that you have gone through, and especially around the holiday season, but in everyday life. I really want to offer the people watching on Facebook and the people listening some tools to help them get through this holiday season. So,
Perfect.
Tell us about Campassionate Friends.
Well, Compassionate Friends is, like Bob said, is a support group for the loss of children. It's for parents, grandparents, and siblings. And our particular Santa Clarita chapter has been in existence for 17 years. a couple of years after I had lost my daughter. But the actual Compassionate Friends is a worldwide national service, and it started in England, and I am sorry I cannot tell you the exact date, but it started in England in a hospital where two parents had lost a child, and a doctor put these two parents together because they realized how important it was for somebody to be able to reach out to somebody who has also experienced the loss of a child. And from there, it just grew and grew, and now they have chapters all over the world. And
Over 700 chapters.
thank you. And it's just, for my husband and I, it saved not only our marriage, it saved our life. I just believe that anybody who has experienced a loss of a child really needs to reach out to a support group. It doesn't have to necessarily be Compassionate Friends, but definitely it helps to reach out to other people who have experienced the same loss, because there is no other loss quite as difficult to get through, and it's one that you never get over, but you can get through it, and you can smile and be happy again. But the truth is, the holidays are, after 20 years for me, are still very hard.
Well, and you you make the statement that Compassionate Friends has saved your life as well, and I really, I don't know how to say enough how honored I am to have you guys in here that are brave enough to talk about it openly, because I really believe, no matter what the arena is, whether it's loss of children, loss of people to addiction, loss in general, that those that are left behind, when they're brave enough to openly talk about those tragedies and to put it out publicly, that absolutely saves other lives. That there are people that are going to be able to come to groups like yours and hear your experience and be able to connect with that and not have to grieve in silence and find maybe unhealthy ways to cope with the loss. And it's that principle. When that doctor took those two families and put them together, however many years ago it was in England, that principle right there is just, it's a perfect model for people to heal. Because I can sit here all day long and listen to you guys, and as a counselor, as a professional counselor, I can offer you support, and I can offer you a hug and a safe place to talk about your story. But I haven't gone through the experience.
It's absolutely, it's knowing that somebody else has gone through this and hearing them and that connection. And I know for us, when my husband and I started the support group, I just sat there and cried. I couldn't even speak. But after going to the meetings and listening to the other parents, I felt a connection. And I felt like my husband and I were on the verge of breaking up, and he grieved differently than I grieved, and we were having problems. But sitting there at those meetings, he learned that it was okay the way I was grieving, and it was okay the way he was grieving. We found ways to connect again, and listening to those other parents, and we found ways to help each other, and it was just a great way to listen to those other parents and connect with them.
Yeah, and everybody grieves differently, and there's no timeline on that process.
Absolutely.
If somebody is listening today and wants to get a hold of local Compassionate Friends, what are the phone numbers, website, that sort of stuff? Let's put that out there a couple of times during the show, because I think that's the most important thing that we can do, is to open up to anybody who needs those services and is willing to.
Well, our email is tcf.scv@gmail.com.
So that's the Compassionate Friends. So just the initials, tcf.scv@gmail.com.
Our website is www.compassionatefriends-scv.org.
Okay, so compassionatefriends-scv.org. And a phone number?
I'm going to give you, I'm sorry. I went blank
which
for a
number
second.
do we give them? Right, I get that.
I'm so sorry. 661-252-4654, and that's both my home and Compassionate Friends phone number. I can be reached on that number at any time.
252
4654.
4654. So, if you're if you're sitting out there and you want to talk to somebody, or you've experienced this, or you know somebody who has that you think can benefit from this group, please make the phone call. You know, we talk about it a lot in terms of addiction, that asking for help is the first step. But asking for help for anything that's going on, and especially for grief and loss, you know, so many people, when they experience loss, I think, Alice, you've talked about this before, is just shut down, depression. I don't want to talk about it. That was your immediate reaction, right?
Oh, absolutely. I didn't know where to go. Diane was a friend of mine, and she kept bugging me to go to meetings, go to a meeting. And it took me probably 6 months before I go to my first meeting. Right. And I finally did.
You know, and this is where we all grieve differently. Within the first month, I was going to 3 different kinds of meetings, Compassionate Friends, and then 2 for the loss of children. So that's where everybody grieves differently, and I was one who needed to talk about it immediately to the world.
Right.
And I'm still to that way to this day, actually. And the one thing that's so, like I was saying, that with Compassionate Friends, you can talk to people and nobody judges you, because we've all been there and we all realize that we grieve differently, but there's a connection that only the people that have lost a child can really feel. And in the meetings, that's what you get, that warmth, and you get that understanding. But even to the world outside, it helps for them to understand that the grief, it's so important that if somebody says they lost a child, that they don't just walk away from you, especially friends and family, and they sometimes tend to do that. And so just a smile on their face, or I understand, or I'm, so sorry, can really help, especially to the newly bereaved, because a lot of times once the year's up, they go, okay, it's time to move on, and it does not work that way.
No. So let's invite Santa Clarita to Candlelight Vigil that's happening.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to also tell you our meetings are the
Okay.
first Thursday of the month.
So the first Thursday of the month, which would be this Thursday.
This Thursday.
Correct.
At Fellowship Christian Church at 26889 Bouquet Canyon Road, Suite C in Saugus.
And what time is that?
At 7 o'clock, sorry.
7 p.m.
But this Thursday, I'm sorry, we'll be at 6:30 because we're having a holiday potluck.
Okay.
But normally there are at 7 o'clock p.m.
And also the truth is if you're looking for the Fellowship Christian Church, you won't see it on
Yeah, that's
Bouquet.
right.
It is behind the Goodwill store on Bouquet, just off of Seco Canyon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
it's-
corner of Seco and Bouquet Canyon.
Yeah, there's a Goodwill store there, and if you go behind the Goodwill store,
Yes.
you will see the sign. And the Fellowship Christian Church, there is no affiliation. It is just where we happen to
meeting room.
meet.
Right.
Just a
Well,
meeting room.
yeah, and just to clarify that, I mean, I completely understand that, because in a lot of 12-step fellowships, we're just renting space from
Yes,
the church,
exactly.
right? So
Exactly,
there is
yeah.
no affiliation, but the church
Exactly.
is kind enough to either donate or rent space,
Right.
reasonably for organizations like Compassionate Friends to meet. And so, yeah, it's very cool of them to do that. This Sunday, I want to invite everybody in Santa Clarita. You guys are having a candlelight vigil.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Go ahead, Alice.
It's our 17th annual Candlelight Remembrance. It's actually the National Compassion Friends 21st Worldwide Candlelight.
So it all happens worldwide on the same day.
Exactly. They
Okay.
start lighting candles in New Zealand at 7 p.m. and in each time zone they light a candle. So it actually creates a 24-hour wave of light around the world.
Okay.
So our program starts at 6:30, and then we start lighting our candles at 7. Everyone's provided candles when they come. This year it's being held at a new venue at La Mesa Junior High School. We have poems, readings, featured singers and performers. It's a very nice program. It's emotional, but it's
Open. It's open to
it's
everybody.
Open to everyone.
Okay.
We have a slideshow of pictures of our children, grandchildren, siblings.
I don't, I'm not real big on telling people what they should do or should not do, but I'll tell you that in our family, so I have 2 young boys. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and every time I have an opportunity to take them to a place like the Youth Grove or something like that, even at their ages at 5 and 8, I think it's a wonderful opportunity, because death and dying and grieving is such a, for some, difficult topic or difficult thing for people to talk about openly, that it really is beneficial for me to bring my kids to an event like this so that we can open that discussion, so they're not afraid of it. They're not afraid to ask questions, and they're not afraid to look at what inevitably is coming for all of us, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool that you open it up to the public, that everybody in Santa Clarita is invited.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not just for the parents of the children there. I mean, they can bring their friends, their neighbors, anybody in the community to come and honor and remember them.
Right.
And then after the ceremonial program, we have coffee, hot chocolate, and cookies for everyone.
So La Mesa Junior High School this coming Sunday, which is December the 10th, at
6:30.
at 6:30 p.m. Santa Clarita, you are all invited. It is open to everyone. It is a wonderful tribute and memorial to all the lives lost and the families behind that have lost children.
And grandchildren.
And grandchildren.
Siblings, yes.
So come on out and join us. This morning I was showed up at our site at the way out, and Melissa Flowers, who's in studio with us today, is a counselor over there. And I was telling her, she asked me who's going to be on the show, and I said Compassionate Friends will be on the show, and she said to me, yesterday was 10 years since my son went into surgery, and he died 10 days after that. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey, Melissa, why don't you come on down to the show with us today? So I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, I don't even know where to go specifically in terms of asking you guys. I haven't experienced it. So, what's it like to go through the grieving process of the loss of a child? I mean, can you even describe that, right?
The truth is, like I have said probably several times already, that we all grieve differently, but the pain is something that is the same for all. It's just how we handle that pain that can be different. And if you don't have a grief program or you don't seek help, a lot of times you will reach out in different ways to try to help yourself. And it can be staying away from people altogether. Giving up on part of your life. A lot of times it's taking something that you think will help you to get through it, because it is such a painful journey. It doesn't have to destroy you, but it is a painful journey, and it takes a long time. And that's why I am so avid in saying get help, seek help. But if you can't, then a lot of times you're lost. And I think that's where you might want to share your story a little.
This is really hard for me. I didn't start the process of grieving till last year, and it'll be 10 years, December 13th. I don't want to take a lot of the time because, but my process is different than everybody else's, and my process includes shame and guilt, which is something I've learned to try to work through. My son was born 19 and a half years ago with chronic lung and heart disease and microcephaly and hydrocephalus of the brain. And I was a 16-year-old mom of a little boy who was in Children's Hospital for the course of 8 months. And he had extensive heart surgeries, diaphragm surgeries, trach surgeries, G-tube surgeries. And when he turned a couple years old, I decided to try drugs and alcohol for the first time, and that took me on a different course in my life. And the last several years of his life, he was raised by my mom and my sister, and he lived a really good life at the end of his life, thanks to my sister, who became a nurse to be able to care for him, and my mom giving up her life so she could care for him. And in 2007, he went in for his third open heart surgery, and 10 years ago yesterday, I walked into the hospital room and promised to be there when he woke up. And he didn't wake up. And December 13, 2007, he passed away in the arms of my mom and my sister by the grace of God. And we buried him at Eternal Valley, and I turned to drugs and alcohol, which was the only thing I knew how to do at the time. And I got high and drunk over the course of the next several years. So I have a 12-year-old daughter who was 2 when he passed. And fortunately now I have 4 years sober. And fortunately now I'm able to make an amends through him, be a better parent to her. And it brought me and my daughter much closer. And I'm working every day to remove the shame and guilt I have over, the end of his life and his death. However, it's a process. And I have AA, and I use that in every aspect of my life. However, I just found out about Compassionate Friends, and that's honestly my next phone call.
Fantastic.
So
Thank you for
to you at a meeting.
Thank you for asking me.
Well, and thank you for your bravery. I've said it before. The three of you, I have no idea what it's like to have the bravery that the three of you have to speak so openly about your losses. And when we do that, I'll tell you right now, Melissa, that there is somebody that is listening that is feeling the guilt and the shame of using drugs
just
to
gave
cope
somebody
with.
some courage.
And you just saved somebody's life is what you
Absolutely.
did, right? And the difficulty that comes oftentimes with the recovery process from drugs and alcohol, this gives people a snapshot into some of what recovering drug addicts go through, right? Is now I'm going to get sober. All these years later, now I'm going to get sober.
And now I have to
And
deal
what
with
do
it.
guess what I get to look at? I get to look at all the stuff that I wasn't willing to look at the whole time that's why I was getting loaded the whole time, right? And now that I'm getting sober, not only am I facing all the stuff that comes with staying sober, but on top of it, I get to look at stuff I haven't looked at in for some people, many, many, many years, you know? And so, man, you're tough. You are awesome. You are awesome. So thank you for accepting the invitation to come on the show this morning.
Yeah, thanks for asking me.
When we come back after this message, I want to ask you guys maybe the obvious question. And I shouldn't even be asking, but why are the holidays so difficult? And what can we tell our families that are out there listening right now who have gone through any kind of loss or are going through any kind of loss? How do we make it through these holidays? What are some rituals we might have come to have in our lives over the years to honor our lost loved ones and that sort of thing? So when we come back, let's do everything we can to try to ease some suffering for the people that are listening, that are experiencing these losses. So this is the Way Out Recovery Hour. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrocoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call The Way Out Recovery now, 296-4444, or visit thewayoutrocoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
Weekends are now exciting in Santa Clarita as Persia Hookah Lounge hosts its House of Entertainment every weekend night from 8 to 11. Thursdays feature a DJ on the hookah patio. Stop by Fridays for performances by Belly Dancer of the Universe winner Jasmina, or Saturdays to hear great local live bands. Persia Lounge also caters for both homes and businesses, starting as low as $8. Discover Persia Hookah Lounge on Main Street, where it's all happening in Old Town Newhall. Persia-lounge.com.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Every Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close!
And the hits keep on coming!
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard!
Ibex is back!
Harder, better, fossa stronger!
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar!
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa!
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and we are in studio with members of Campassionate Friends. And again, if you're just joining the show, we are talking about specifically about grieving from the loss of children, of losing their children. And that's what Campassionate Friends is a support group for anyone who has, for parents, grandparents, and siblings who have lost children or grandchildren, and it's a very difficult topic. It's a very difficult time of year for a lot of people. Before we went on the break, Melissa was telling us about the loss of her son 10 years ago, and how you dealt with that by jumping into drugs and alcohol. Diane, let me ask you, when your daughter passed, how did you deal with that? What was the immediate?
For me, like I had mentioned earlier, I needed to talk about it. And so I reached out to as many groups as I could find. I had also went to a psychologist because I didn't know if I was going to survive. But I found that she did not truly understand because she had not lost a child. And it's not an infant or a small child. My daughter was 20 years old. I told a couple that came one year that their son was in his 50s, and she says, I don't think I belong. And I said, no, you lost your baby. It doesn't matter how old you lose your child. You don't expect to lose a child before you.
Yeah, no parent wants to outlive their children.
Never,
right?
never, ever. Mm-hmm. And so for me, going to groups helped some. I didn't take away the pain. It took a long time. I, like Alice, cried through every meeting, and even 2 years later when I started Campassionate Friends, I cried at every meeting for a very long time, not just for me, but for everybody else who had lost a child. I have found that the holidays are still, 20 years later, are still just as hard for me as they were 20 years ago. But one of the ways that I dealt with it for many, many years is my husband and I, we found we couldn't do Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, we're fine. My son and grandchildren come and I'm okay. But on Christmas Eve, it's just too much of a memory because it was such a wonderful time with all our family, all the nieces and nephews and cousins got together. So we leave. We just go somewhere. We've been to Vegas, and this year we're actually going to Hearst Castle. It's just something that's different. And so for people who are newly bereaved, you have to find something that's maybe different for you. Maybe some people I know have bought toys and given them to other people in memory of their child. It's just because it is a hard time. Anything you can do that can help you get through the holidays, especially in the beginning, is really important. And that's why the candlelighting is so important, because it's a way of honoring your child and kind of hopefully start the holiday season with a smile.
And Alice, immediately after the loss of your two sons, what was your initial sort of reaction or way that you dealt with it?
I wanted to die, basically. I mean, I lost 2 sons, and I wanted just to die. I didn't want to go on. Took me a while, and I thought, well, I can't do that. I didn't have the guts to do that, to be honest. So I thought, well, Tim was a lifeguard, and he saved kids. Danny had just passed his test to be a fireman explorer, and I thought, well, he wanted to save lives, so maybe that's what I should be doing. So I thought, well, I need to save these kids. They died in a reckless car crash, and so maybe I need to save some kids. So the sheriff that was on duty that night that had to tell me that both my sons were dead in that car crash was in charge of the Every 15 Minutes program. So I thought, well, maybe I could talk at the Every 15 Minutes program, even though it dealt with driving on alcohol and drugs, that maybe I could talk about reckless driving, because that year 7 kids had died in car crashes from reckless driving. So I talked to him, and he let me speak, and that helped me. That I was saving some kids. And for 17 years now, I've been talking at the Every 15 Minutes program. So that's helped me. It's my focus. It's my reason to go on living. So that and Compassionate Friends, like I said when I first started, I just cried. I couldn't speak. And as the years have gone on, I started helping, became newsletter editor, became co-leader, and become very involved in helping the parents there, seeing them change. So that's my focus, helping the parents as well. So that's helped me grow. As far as the holidays, our first year of Christmas, I couldn't even bear to be around. We took my son and we went to Las Vegas thinking we just needed to get away. I couldn't be around relatives or anybody. We just went to Las Vegas. That was not good. It was miserable. I hated being there. I hated Christmas, everything about it.
There may not have been any place you could have gone that wouldn't have felt just horrible at that time,
I mean,
right?
it didn't help.
Yeah.
It was just miserable. I don't know what can help you at the holidays. It's just a miserable time of year. Even 17 years later, it's just miserable. The candlelighting is hard, but it's a nice time to go see their faces on the screen. It's honoring and remembering them. It's a nice program.
Yeah.
For newly bereaved, like Diane said, you need to take care of yourself. You need to slow down, change your traditions, maybe add new traditions. My Christmas tree is butterflies and angels. I changed it up.
And I was going to ask you that is, what are some of the ways that you are getting through it and adding new traditions, new rituals at holidays?
I couldn't put up the same ornaments that I did before. They're packed away in a box.
Too many memories there.
Too many memories there. I still have them, but I added butterflies because that's a logo that we use in Compassionate Friends as a new beginning.
Right.
So I have butterflies and I have all angels. I buy 2 new angels every Christmas that represent them. So that's a new tradition. So that's a good thing that we tell parents, try new traditions, something new.
Yeah.
I don't have butterflies, but I have a total angel tree. That's all that's on it, not a single
angels?
other. All angels.
Yeah.
So that we tell parents that, change your expectations, change your traditions, or add some new things.
And Melissa, what do you guys do around the holidays to honor Gabriel's life?
Well, I still have a 12-year-old at home. So in the beginning, when she was littler, it was hard to get through the holidays. But I knew I had to push through, for her. Now it's become more of celebrating him at Christmas as well. I personally do what she suggested, and I have family and friends that have young children, boys, and I buy them all a present. And so I get to buy boy presents anyways now, and I get to shop for little kids other than my daughter and give those families a Christmas present. And I have an ornament that's a picture of my son that I put in my daughter and I, we put it on a shelf in the house with figures that say like believe or strength or faith. And there's a cross that my dad made because he passed away as well. We put that next to that so that they're together. And my daughter pretty much does the tree, though. It's more, I mean, I do it with her and I watch her, but we celebrate him. Honestly, I think the way I get through it is I celebrate him through her. Yeah. And I give her all the things I wish I could still give him. And I get to see her light up Christmas because I don't know, I don't like to speak on if I couldn't, but without her, I don't know that it would be. I still have a little one, so I don't know what it would be, but she gives me a purpose to get up in the morning. And because of that purpose, I can go on. Doesn't mean it's not hard every day, even though I don't show it. But she gives me purpose, and she helps me celebrate his life. She was only 2 when he passed, but we look through pictures, so she remembers him and she talks about him. So we can openly talk in my house about Gabriel, and share that together during the holidays, because he passed away during the holidays, like 12 days before Christmas. So I know that first Christmas was, I don't even, to be honest, I don't even remember
blank,
it.
I'm sure.
And my family didn't really do much Christmas after that for a while. So it's hard. I don't know what I could suggest the first Christmas. Go to bed and pull the blankets over your head. That's horrible advice. But that's what I believe I did the first Christmas.
Well, I think, I think that when you said, Alice, you felt like giving up, but you knew that you couldn't. And what am I going to do with that? I think a message for anybody who's grieving through this holiday season is do whatever the heck you got to do to get through it, right?
Exactly.
And are there any ways during this holiday that you guys, I mean, you've already talked about different rituals that you have, where you sit down and sort of honor or talk about your loved ones? Is there a time that happens during the holidays?
Not now, but I know that some of the suggestions I know that are listed with Compassion Friends are in the stocking. You can put little notes of memories of the child, and you can pull them out like on a family gathering and pull those out to share them with the family.
Right.
That's one of the ideas that they talk. I know that next Thanksgiving that we used to go around the table and light a candle, a votive candle. And when you light the candle, share a memory of the child.
Yeah.
That's another suggestion that we used to do at Thanksgiving, but you can also do at the Christmas table or something. Share the memory.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to find in any loss. It's hard to find any sort of beauty that can come out of a loss. But when we talk about these things openly and we offer other families a place to grieve, I think it's very, very important to do that. And like we said earlier, I believe that lives are being saved. I believe that lives are being saved by you guys having the bravery to go out there and talk about it publicly and openly, and offer a safe place for people to come and grieve in any way that they need to grieve.
One thing that I will say that it's, at least for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's really important that you do talk about your child, not just during the holidays, but like I say, my child was such a part of our life, and I don't want her forgotten. I don't want her to just be, put in a box and never come out again. She's there, and I love having people talk about her. And make me cry sometimes. It does make me sad sometimes, but it still makes me incredibly happy inside that I know people haven't forgotten her. I think it's so important that you do try to talk about your child, good things, even if it's bad things. It's just that you remember that child, and especially during the holidays, I think it is extremely important that you do that.
And I think that's what's good about Compassion Friend meetings is that we do talk about our child. And as years go by, at least I know for Diane and I, 17 and 20 years, your friends don't want to talk about your child anymore, especially if it makes us cry. But you know what? It's okay if we cry and talk about our child. We're talking about our child. And we lose a lot of friends because we do cry when we talk about our child, but that's okay. So at Compassion Friends, we're talking about our child there.
I hadn't even thought about that, but I can imagine I'm hanging out with Alice all the time, and I would be very conscious about saying, God, do I even want to say, Timmy or Danny's name, right? Because I don't want to make you sad. And
Exactly.
gosh, thank you for offering that, because the people that are around families that have lost can probably feel as uncomfortable. How do we talk about it? What do we say? So
my close friends
Yeah.
know it's okay to mention their names and say something, and if it makes me cry, that's okay, because we know we want to talk about them and say their names.
Well, and I think it gives you the respect to be able to say, right now is not a good time, and be able to say that if it's not okay to talk about it, right? And and for anybody listening who may be experiencing a new loss, that are going through some of the feelings of maybe guilt or shame or blaming themselves or wishing they could rewind that tape or all of that stuff, I believe that that's absolutely normal, and whatever feelings or experiences you have to go through in the grieving process, there is no wrong.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Whatever you have to do, and scream and yell or beat a pillow, or I'm certainly not an advocate for drinking or drug use, but if that's what gets you through, to save your own life, the grieving process is going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, everybody grieves differently, and don't let anybody tell you how to grieve. You have to do it your own way to get through it. We had one parent go buy old dishes from a 99-cent store or Goodwill and throw them and break them. That was her grief relief.
Yeah. Grief relief?
Grief relief, yes.
Yeah. That's why probably those of you that have been around Compassionate Friends for a while, it's probably like the catchphrase. There's probably a lot of those kind of catchphrases in there, right? What are you doing for your grief relief? Let's break some dishes today, right? Let's break some dishes. So when we come back, we want to give information about Compassionate Friends, and we also want to give information about the Candlelight Vigil that's going on. I don't want to call it, it's not a Candlelight Vigil.
Candlelight Remembrance Program.
Thank you. The Candlelight Remembrance Program.
Right.
And it's better that we speak of it that way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
it is a remembrance program, and we are going to honor and remember those lives that were cut off too short, and the families that are left behind.
Yes.
And so we want to invite Santa Clarita Valley to attend this event. We'll give information about that right after we come back from this break. This is The Way Out. Thanks.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located in Old Town Newhall, the CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go to canyontheater.org.
You've been assigned to plan your office party. Time to bring in the experts. AV Party Rentals is your go-to place for the most innovative holiday party ideas. AV's been planning Santa Clarita events from giant galas to intimate gatherings for longer than, since Rudolph was a young fawn. AV will turn your office party into a winter wonderland. See the latest holiday displays at Santa Clarita's favorite wedding, party, and holiday event rental store, AV Party Rentals on Newhall Avenue and at avpartyrental.com.
You already know Salt Creek Grill has the best food in our valley. Well, now you can have Salt Creek's gourmet meals catered to your event.
I'm Greg Amsler, owner of Salt Creek Grill. I'd like to introduce you to a new level of catering, featuring our catering director, Tamara Levine.
Salt Creek Grill creates memorable experiences, which leaves our clients and guests with a sense of awe and excitement. From menu development to picturesque presentation, you'll enjoy culinary excellence and creative catering.
Salt Creek Grill, a new level of catering.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Santa Clarita's hometown station, KHTS. We fall so hard, now we gotta get back what we lost.
Welcome back to the Way Out Recovery Hour. I'm Bob Sharits, and gosh, man, started off the show by talking about the holiday seasons being kind of heavy. Season being kind of heavy, and it just, I can't say enough about the importance of doing shows like this, offering events like the Candlelight Remembrance that's happening this Sunday, offering opportunities for people to grieve in a safe space like Compassionate Friends does, and to highlight, I'm honored and humbled to sit in a room with people who are so brave to be able to come and talk about the losses in the attempt to help others get through it. I have not, and pray that I never have to experience the loss of either one of my children, and so I can't say enough about you guys' bravery, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Compassionate Friends is a grief support group for parents, grandparents, and siblings who have lost children, correct?
At any age.
At any age.
For
at
any reason.
age. They meet the first Thursday of every month, which is this Thursday. They meet at the Fellowship Christian Church, which is on the corner of Saco and Bouquet Canyon behind the Goodwill. It's on the back of the same building as the Goodwill, and the meeting is at 7 o'clock. However, this Thursday, it's going to be at 6:30 because it's a holiday potluck. Mm-hmm. So whether you have whether you have any food to bring or not, show up and enjoy some food and some fellowship and a safe place to grieve and to talk about your loved ones and to get the support that you need.
Yes,
definitely.
So Compassionate Friends also has a website locally. It is compassionatefriends-scv.org. Go to that website and learn more about the organization. And if you need some personal questions answered, you can email T as in Tom, C as in Charlie, F as in Frank, .scv@gmail.com, or you can call Diane directly at
661-252-4654.
252-4654. And please, everybody, show up this Sunday, which is December 10th. La Mesa Junior High School. It's in Canyon Country. You can look up the address. I believe it's on May Way. La Mesa Junior High School at 6 p.m.
6:30.
6:30 p.m. For a Candlelight Remembrance event, and everybody is welcome to attend this event. Please show up this Sunday and support those who have experienced this loss.
Please, and it definitely will help lighten your heart a little bit for the beginning of the holiday season. And thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you guys for being on here today. Before we end, we got a couple of minutes. For any of those that are listening that may be having some trouble asking for help or coming to a support group, they're just going to take this show and be able to listen to it and gather some things to try to help them through the holidays. Anything you'd like to say to anybody who's out there listening that may be experiencing a loss or in the grieving process? Alice?
Just remember that you're not alone. It's hard, but to reach out and we're here for you. That talking to another bereaved parent will help.
Right. That helps for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We know what you're going through. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes making that first phone call is difficult. So if there's any friends out there that have a friend who lost a child, if you call, you can call the phone number I gave you, and then sometimes we can discuss having me call the family that has lost a child, because making that first phone call can be difficult. But we are definitely here for you, and you can also reach out to Alice if you want to give him your phone number as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. My phone number is 661-252-4374.
You guys have both been in Santa Clarita for a while. Whenever I hear that 252 number, those are the old numbers that have been around here forever, right?
Yeah.
The old house phone number is 252. But reach out for the help. And if, like, as you were talking about that, Diane, I'm thinking of somebody who I think could use a support group, but may not be willing to do that. Is it possible for me to, if I got this young man, to accompany him and bring him to one of the groups?
Sure, you can bring somebody.
Yeah,
they can have a friend bring them.
Great,
Absolutely.
because I think it would be very helpful for me to hold this young man's hand and maybe walk him into one of you guys' groups.
I know my first meeting, I brought my sister-in-law, and then after that I had a friend come with me because it was too hard to come alone. And I actually had my husband come with me, but some people could try to come alone, and it is difficult, and it helps when somebody else comes with them, at least the first couple of times.
Yeah, and I think that asking for help seems to be just something that's difficult, and I would imagine especially difficult in the beginning of a grieving process. And so, like you said, if you know somebody who you feel would benefit from either the event or looking at the website or going to the once a month meetings, reach out to a friend and say, hey, I'll go with you.
Yes,
definitely.
I'll support you in this, because I can imagine it must be just. Feel very dark right after the loss of a child.
The truth is, at the very beginning, you feel you're all alone. You don't think there's another person in the world that is going through what you're going through. And that's why sometimes it makes it hard to make that first step to ask for help. But once you realize that there's unfortunately, so many of us that have been in this situation, and you need that support. You just really do.
Yeah. Melissa, anything you want to offer to families who have lost children?
Oh, just I know it's difficult, and kind of what you said, Bob. Whatever you got to do to get through to live. I mean, I obviously don't suggest drug and alcohol use at all, and that comes with shame and guilt afterwards. So, but whatever you got to do to live, because I didn't think I could live.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could. I mean, when you picture your life and your children and them growing up, picture one of them won't be there. Whatever that looks like. I still get asked, how many kids do you have? And 10 years later, I say 2.
Yeah.
And sometimes I explain my story and sometimes I don't. But,
you have
but
to
I
feel-
always say I have 2 kids. My daughter's 12 and my son would be 19. And that prompts the question.
Yeah.
And I see you guys shaking your head. Same. Yeah. Yeah, they're never forgotten. Never forgotten. And I want to, we have a lot of resources over at The Way Out. Please give us a call at 296-4444. You can talk to myself, Bob Sharits, Melissa Flowers, or Albert. I'll call over there. And we have many, many resources. If not Compassionate Friends, we have therapists, we have other groups. We have a place that can help you, certainly. So again, give us a call at 296-4444, and we can point you in the right direction and offer you the support that you need through this holiday season and afterwards, to help you get through any loss or any grief that you're going through, and to just get you the help that you need. Thanks again for you guys coming on the show today. I know that we have helped somebody by doing this, and God bless. This is The Way Out Recovery Hour. I am Bob Sharits, and we'll see everybody next week.